Okay, so the next type of form we're going to make is a local storage form. We're going to utilize the local storage to save our form states. So let's start by getting what we have in our local storage. So if we open up our Chrome DevTools, we can go to Application, Local Storage, and right now we have nothing in here, no key values. So we can create a function called get current storage, and we can say storage is equal to local storage dot get item. We're going to store it as form data. You can name whatever you want, but you'll see where form data comes into play. And then if we have storage, we'll return json.parse storage. So everything in local storage has to be a string, so we have to parse it to get it as an object. If there's no storage, so it could be null, like it is right now. We just return an empty object. Okay, so we have to give everything a name attribute, which we already have done. Name, email, name, username, etc. And then let's create a get initial values function. So const get initial value. So we'll take a name, which will be a string, and we'll just grab our current storage, get current storage, and we'll return current storage dot our name. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that for all of our values. This will be our default values. So email will be default value, get initial value of email, or empty string. Same for our username. Like last couple videos ago, we don't want to keep our password in local storage, ideally. Again, it's a bad form to use for local storage. So let's pretend our boss wants us to use local storage, but we'll treat the password separately. So we won't do anything with the password field with local storage. So it'll be color, default value will be red, and then bio. Default value will be empty string. Save, and let's refresh the page. Nothing should change. Okay. Okay, so now let's create a handle change function. So what happens when we change the value in our inputs? So handle change, this will be a event, react.change event, HTML, no, we'll make a custom one, input elements. Okay, and let's create that type real quick again. So type input elements will be either an HTML input element, or an HTML select element, or an HTML text area. Okay, and from here we can pull out the name and value of our event.target, and the only reason we can do that is because we gave every input a name. And then we can do const current storage is equal to get current storage, and then const new storage will be, we will spread the current storage, and we will then add to our new storage the value if it exists, otherwise we'll overwrite it. And then local storage dot set item. This is the local storage API. We're gonna set an item called form data. That's the key we're giving it. We can call it blah blah blah, whatever we want. and then we will stringify the new storage. Again, anything in local storage has to be saved as a string. So it's a stringify it, and when we grab it back, we will be parsing it here. So again, get the name and value every time we change the input, grab the current storage, make a copy of it, then if the input we're currently changing exists, we'll overwrite it, otherwise we'll create it. And then in our local storage, we'll set the item called form data as all that form data stringified. And when we grab it again, we'll grab it here. And this right now this will be a string or null. If it's a string, that means it exists and we can return it parsed. If it doesn't exist, then let's return an empty object. Awesome. So let's attach handle change to our inputs. So on change, handle change. Copy, paste. We're not doing it for the password. Save. Okay, so let's test it out. So let's type it. GI. We can see here in our local storage, we're saving it here. Username, giraffe. Password, nothing happens. Color, green. Bio, green, green, green. Gets cut off here, but we can see it here. And now, the cool thing about this is that it's saved in local storage, and we're setting our default value to our initial value we get from the local storage. If we refresh the page, all of our information is preserved. I'll make a new tab. All of our information is still here because it's still in local storage and we're getting our default values from local storage. So that's pretty cool. Again, depending on the kind of form you're using, maybe it's kind of dangerous to keep in local storage, but it depends on your form. But I think it's a cool way to use this, especially when it's not sensitive data. I think using local storage to save form data could be really helpful, especially if it's like a long form and a user accidentally refreshes the page. It might be helpful to not, retype everything out. Okay, so that's setting the values, keeping them. Let's go ahead and create a submit function as usual. Submit handler is equal to e react.form event HTML form element. Let's go ahead and attach our submit handler to our form. On submit. On submit. Awesome. Let's prevent default so it doesn't refresh. Let's get form data is equal to get current storage. So this current storage function that we made is very helpful. We're using it all over the place. So when I want my form data, I just get the current storage. And we have to make sure of one thing. We just need to check const color will be equal to form data dot color or red, just in case color never saves. And then password, again, we never took care of that, so let's use query selector this time. Let's just say input with the ID of password as HTML input element for TypeScript, and then const data is equal to spread the form data, put the color, password will be equal to password dot value, yes, and then we can log it. Let's log it real quick. Secret submit. Here we go. Email, username, password, bio, color. Great. And then we can do local storage dot clear. This will clear the storage. And then e.target as HTML form element for TypeScript, and then we can reset the form using the event. So submit. Let me do it one more time. Let's refresh the page. Test at example.com. Test. Submit. Perfect. Then if we go to our local storage, it should be empty because we did local storage.clear. And if we type something back, hello, we have state saved again in the local storage. If we refresh the page, we will have it there forever. So a quick little note between local storage and session storage. So local storage will save until I clear it. So if I go ahead and close my browser completely, and I open up a new browser, Right, if I bring it back and I open my website again, localhost 5173. Well, this is a little different because we're using the guest thing with Chrome. So let me actually not use guest. Let's use my actual Chrome account. So 1 second here. Pull that up. Alright, so if I type in Billy here, application, local storage, let's clear some of this stuff. Alright, so here we have username of Billy, and this is in local storage. So if I go ahead and close my browser and open back up Chrome again, and if I go to localhost 5173, we'll see that Billy is still saved here in my local storage, even though I closed the browser. But if I use session storage, it will, let's just see what happens. So let's do, can I replace everything? So let's just do, let's find local storage. Two, three, session storage. So I replaced all the session storage, local storage with session storage. The API is pretty much the same. .clear, .setItem, .getItem. So let's go to our session storage, and it's empty. So let's go ahead and type in Billy2. So now, if I refresh the page, we still have Billy2 from our session storage. Let's go. I'm gonna clear my local storage just to keep it separate. So our local storage is empty, so we're not using local storage, and our session storage has Billy2. If I refresh the page, it's all good. I can refresh the page. But if I close the browser and reopen it, now it's gone. Because session storage doesn't preserve on the browser closing. So that's another thing you should keep in mind. Maybe session storage is more better for your use case. If the user is filling out a form and they refresh the page, is it okay if they keep the data in the form? Yes or no? If the user closes their browser completely, restarts their computer or something, should they keep the data? Just things to keep in mind. So local storage is more persistent than session storage. Yeah. That's it for local storage and session storage forms.